Welcome into the 5th episode of Meet Your Aldermen. My name is Jon Zaghloul, our Communications Director. Great to have you here as we continue this series. This month, we're talking with a veteran City Council member about his 13-plus years in office, his successful architectural career, and his continued goals for the city's 3rd Ward. He's a longtime community volunteer and well-known architect whose work has been featured across Aurora and beyond. Today, he's the city's 3rd Ward Alderman, serving on the Finance Committee as well as the Infrastructure and Technology Committee. Let's welcome Alderman Ted Mesiacos to Meet Your Aldermen. Alderman Mesiacos, it's great to have you here. How are you?
Well, John, thanks for having me here, but if you don't mind, call me Ted.
Okay.
How's that?
I'll call you Ted.
Take the edge off. So
we're not inside a council chamber, so I can call you
Correct.
Ted today. And
Please.
I think, okay, perfect. That sounds good to me. You know, Ted, I wanted to take a look back because we've talked so much here about your career. We've gone into that process, but take me back to when you grew up in Aurora. What was it like for you to grow up in this city?
A lot of fun times, a lot of scary times, grew up here on the southeast side of town, where I represent now as 3rd Ward Alderman. Lived next door to, my wife and I bought the house next door to where I grew up. My kids had their grandfather as a neighbor, and here we are, still living in the 3rd Ward. We built a new home in the 3rd Ward, just a short mile away from where I grew up, and never left. Here I am, right? I'm a product of Aurora, so.
You know, I think about, and we've talked about this offline before, tell me about what it was like for you to, grow up with your dad. He seemed to be a very big influence in your life. So what was that like for you to grow up with him and help him out? Because he was an immigrant who came here to America. You were born here. What was that story like here in Aurora?
Well, both my parents are immigrated here from Greece. And my dad came here through Ellis Island.
Wow.
Unfortunately, right after he passed away, I found his name on the manifest online.
What did it say? Was it the correct last name, Mesiacos, or
yes.
was it longer? Okay.
Yeah,
because I know they cut some names at that time, so I was curious. But
it's the same last name.
Wow.
And it's the ship that he told me he came on, the steamship Olympia.
Wow.
It even says it stopped over in Italy, and it shows that on the manifest, and worked his way over to Chicago and found employment here in Aurora. Met my mother, who had immigrated initially to Canada, and she was visiting family and friends here, and from the old country, as they would say. They met up, and a few weeks later, they decided to get married, and here we are. My dad had bought a house already here, the original house that we just talked about a little while ago. And the rest is history, as they say. My dad, unfortunately, my mother passed away when I was 10. My father had to raise 3 kids on his own at that point, the youngest of 3. Worked 2nd shift, 3rd shift, never sent it to overtime, and working Saturdays and Sundays whenever he could get it. I think that's what set the example of hard work. Always volunteered. My parents, I remember even as a young kid, my parents always volunteered as well, not only with the church community, but in the broader Aurora community. And so they really planted the seeds of, I think, what I am today, and set the standard of working hard, taking care of your neighbor, respect your neighbor, talk to your neighbor, all your neighbors, and don't be afraid to help. Nothing wrong with helping. And here we are today, right? 14 years, actually. I'm starting, you said earlier 13. I'm actually starting 14 years.
14 years?
As of 2 weeks ago, yes.
Wow. What do you remember most about your first year in office, when you first got in? Or what's been the difference between year 1 to now year 14? You're a seasoned veteran now.
Some degree, yes. I still like to think I'm a young pup, but time goes by very quickly, John. There's no excuses. You definitely, first year in, learning how the city works, it's very important. You're never ready, I think, to understand all that, but you rely a little bit on your fellow colleagues, the fellow aldermen in the city council, and you get to meet within the first week. It's mandated by the city ordinance that we meet with all the department heads within X amount of days, and you get to meet them and get their contact information, and they give you a little, I should say, synopsis on what they do and how they can help, and from there you just keep growing on, blossoming the relationships, and you keep learning. I think I'm still learning. I don't think I'm finished. I don't think everybody's ever finished learning as an alderperson. There's always something that shows up, or another concern that you're like, wow, I never thought of that one. So.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you figure now 14 years in office, you've probably seen so many different things that have come through, and you've been representing the 3rd Ward for 14 years very strongly as well. What's the best part about representing your ward?
Best part about it is finding a solution. You're not always able to find a solution that the resident wants, but it's always great when you can find a solution, but even great when you find something that hasn't been done before and you think outside the box. And of course, that doesn't happen just because I thought of it, but it comes from discussions with staff. And staff, they're great. I've always just found that they're willing to work with us. I haven't found one person that doesn't want to work with an older person. I wonder why. But,
I would hope not. I would hope they would want to work with you. Yeah.
So, and those are the most the solutions that bear the more fruit is the ones that haven't been done before. When it's all said and done.
I think that element of teamwork is really important too. We see some of these developments that have been happening in the 3rd Ward, like the Phillips Park Foundation, which is really exciting, or the Mastodon Lake dredging. These are 2 major projects for Phillips Park, which resides in your ward. Those could not have been done without teamwork. What do those 2 projects mean to you and to your ward?
Well, it's exciting time. I've been talking about it for a while. I think my neighbors, I should say, and my constituents are really excited now that it's finally come to fruition. It's been a labor of love. It just shows you what you can do, giving another opportunity to keep serving, building on those relationships, not only here with the city, but also with our state legislators. For example, Mastodon was not possible without our state representative bringing $4 million here. From Springfield, and covering the majority of the costs to dredge Mastodon Lake, and also to help beautify it. So big kudos to her. It wasn't her first effort, but she never gave up either. She's also a 3rd Ward resident, and her family still lives here. So when you have people that are from Aurora, especially here, the older neighborhoods, and understand the beauty of it, and what can be done, how do you preserve that beauty, it makes life easier too. So again, the community led me to continue to keep serving and to keep fighting and keep pushing to help make things happen in my own little way. That's the exciting part. And so we are going to dredge Mastodon Lake here starting late June, early July. I think they're going to start. And it's exciting. I don't know if it's ever been dredged before. It's very shallow as well. But it's not just the dredging. It's also the beauty, the added landscape features that are going to be provided too. So we're going to beautify it some more. It's a very well visited, very much appreciated gem of the city. A lot of people come out to the park just to walk or to bike it as
including
well.
me. I do the same thing.
Oh, wow.
My wife and I will walk around that area. We do some work at Sunnymere at the retirement home sometimes.
Oh, wonderful.
So after that, we'll go walk right around Phillips Park, and it's beautiful.
Yes.
It is a beautiful park.
Yes. And I don't think I'm throwing anybody under the bus, but even during COVID, even though we had those sandwich panels up saying, off limits, people still came. People still wanted to be outdoors. They wanted to be out getting some fresh air.
Right.
I know they were trying. I think they were trying to maintain a distance, but it just tells you how important it is and how much of a valuable asset it is. You can't undermine the value of the park and its importance, and have something like that here in Aurora, where I don't know if anybody else has it in the region. What we have here.
I can't think of anyone.
Outside of Chicago.
Absolutely. I mean, the acreage, the sheer land space of that park, and then all the amenities you have on it. You got the golf course, you got the zoo, you have the park and the walking trails, the sunken gardens.
Yes.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Right. Smith Boulevard.
Yep.
As
Smith
well,
Boulevard.
leading up to it with the fountain.
Absolutely.
It's and then the flag on the flagpole, very majestic. It's great. And to have it in the third ward too. So, and then the other thing too you mentioned is Phillips Park Foundation, and very excited about that. Something that I've been working on for a very long time. Also, something I started working on with former Alderman Bob O'Connor, and it was an idea that both of us came up with approximately 8-9 years ago at this juncture, and to see it finally come to fruition. I wish he was here to share in this, but I still think he is from somewhere else, and had the pleasure of speaking with Mary O'Connor recently, and sharing the good news with her. The City Council approved it, and it's a win for him as much as it is for the third ward. Alderman at large, you can't beat that. Somebody very supportive and providing a lot of insight. That's where the senior leadership comes in as well. And I stayed the course and just pushed it along incrementally, and here we are. And we have a wonderful group of people that are involved with the board, all very involved in the community from all parts of the city, with history with the city, experiences with the park themselves. And the interesting part is, because it's out there in the community now, we've had some coverage in the newspaper as well, and with the city, that we already have people reaching out, providing support and donations.
Wow.
Which is great. Before, even I think they opened up a checking account yet. So here you go. So there is a great start to this, a lot of good people involved. And my dad always say, you can always tell a good day by how the sun rises. And so I think this is a beautiful day for the third ward and the entire city of Aurora, because it's not just a third ward park, it's a city park. So I right now I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it. And I hope that this level of support and excitement continues, and I know it will continue with the people that are on there right now, and for a few generations, I hope, even beyond my time.
You sound very passionate about this, and as somebody who grew up in the third ward and frequented Phillips Park, I'm sure growing up, what's your favorite part about the park?
Well, we didn't have Macedon Island Park when I was there, but I enjoyed everything about the park. I enjoyed going to the zoo. I could never get enough of always seeing the same things over and over again. Even my kids now, when we had some First Fridays downtown with some events for kids, always curious. I always loved going to the swing set. And I know we've talked about it, if I could, we'd always have company at the house, and if we could get some people, if I could convince somebody to take me to the park and tell them how great of a park it is, or you've never seen it, maybe they could give me a ride over there, and just to get some people to get me on, because I was not always allowed to leave that far, be on my own. So any opportunity I could get to go over there. Coming in as an alderman, we had just finished up the golf course, which is an award-winning golf course, and to come in with the new golf course completed, River Edge Park fully completed. What a great time to come in with some beautiful projects around the city, and feeling guilty to be at the opening ribbon cutting events. I felt sort of guilty because I had nothing to do with it. As an alderman, I didn't vote on it.
Right.
Wasn't able to support it as an alderman, but to come in and to see what had been done by the administration and the previous alderperson, pretty exciting, and it sort of says, okay, you got to work too. And that's one of the things that happened too when I first came on city council. First meeting, I had just gotten sworn in. You sit down and you don't know what's happening procedurally. And I just lean over to Alderwoman Wani Garza, and I said, okay, so what do I do now? What's going to happen now? And she's like, trabajo. And she's just, pointing her finger on the table. You have to work. And I'm like, okay, I got the message. Don't worry about procedure, just work, and the rest will come. And she was right. It all comes. And as long as you have your heart in the right place, can't always please everybody. But one thing that my father, and you mentioned it, my father earlier, my father always said, you always try. Don't ever walk away from a concern. even if you're not successful in giving them the resultant that they're looking for, because you can't always give that. We have certain responsibilities here at the city, certain ordinances as well, but you have to try. And that's the key element. And that's where the additional work comes in, besides just our legislated responsibilities to be legislators here on the city council, at least for the ward aldermen, the 10 ward aldermen. So, and you can never probably put enough work into it when it's all said and done. It can turn into a full-time job very easily if it doesn't become a full-time job at certain points of the year. But that's what you sign up for. So it's eyes wide open, I say.
When we look back at your initial, taking in office, when we look back at you coming into office, who or what inspired you to run for this role?
Sort of twofold. First of all, my wife. My wife's responsible.
Okay.
She pushed me towards running for office, and she's the one that's. Well, what happened was Stephanie Kiefowit, who was the previous alderperson before me, was elected into the state legislature, and she stepped down, which triggered midterm, which triggered an election for third ward alderperson. And it was the week of filing, and my wife's like, "Why don't you do it?" And I'm like, "Oh no!" And she's like, "Oh yes." And so yeah, it worked out. I figured she saw something in me that I didn't know, but and I trust my wife. I respect her and I trust her, and I thought she saw something in the situation that she thought I should run. And so I did. But, one of the things that when I was growing up, I will tell you this, I always had a place I wanted to be, but I didn't know how I was going to get there. But I came back from college and all-knowing, probably like I don't know if it's a typical graduate from college, but I'm one of those that was all-knowing. And we were having the gang issues, especially in our neighborhood, in our oldest southeast part of town and other parts of the city. And I remember telling my dad it's time to move. And my dad said, "Why?" And I was like, "It's like, why?" I said, "Because they moved. He said, "Yes, but they stayed. And if you don't like it, do something about it first." And we've never continued, and we won't be able to continue that conversation because he's passed away. But interesting part is I ended up starting a family here with my wife, buying a home next door to where I grew up. And one thing leads to another. I'm an alderman as well. I'm a local business owner with my own practice here in Aurora, Illinois, thriving in Aurora. And it just tells you, just because there's a bump in the road doesn't mean you have to avoid it. Try to work and figure out how to get across it. Do your part, big or small. And that's the same thing I preach to my kids. And even if I get an opportunity to speak to young kids in high school now, or even if I run into anybody in college, hey, it's okay if you leave town, but it's okay if you think about staying. There's going to be a challenge wherever you live. That's what I've discovered as an alderperson, talking to other aldermen when I go to an IML conference or an IML day down in Springfield. You discover there's very similar challenges in other communities too. So my dad was right on the money. If you don't like where you live or you have some concern about it, pretty much do something about it and try to do your part to help out. And you'll find out that you will survive and you will succeed, and so will your community and your neighborhood. It's not all doom and gloom. There is a rainbow.
There is a rainbow, and it's ironic because look at Aurora today versus at that time. And obviously you couldn't foretell the future, but look at how things have changed in this city for the better since that conversation. And then you've been on the council now for 14 years. You've had a hand in doing what your dad said to do. How does that make you feel?
When I first realized, started connecting the dots, I felt a little bit like a heel. But then I said, you know what? He did his job. He helped me mature. He helped me understand in his own way. a little old school. He wasn't much for words. He was very, very straightforward. Minimal words and straightforward. Get your point across. But he led by example, and that's what I try to do too, is continue his legacy my parents left behind. Lead by example. Not just like any Greek immigrant family, but any immigrant family. I see that all over the Third Ward right now too. I see it. When I was growing up, the Third Ward, we were very diversified in terms of immigrant classes. It used to be very heavy of a German neighborhood or German neighborhoods in my parts, but then it diversified. We had Poles, we had Italians, in addition to Greeks. We had, it was really an opportunity to discover different cultures through your neighbors, having discussions, different types of food by sharing. Either they invite you over for a gathering, or just even bring a plate over to share with you. And it happens today, even though we're predominantly Latino or Hispanic. It still happens today. It hasn't changed. It's a blue collar, very immigrant class type of community, and it still has that same flavor. That same vitality. Neighbors helping neighbors, I'm loving it, and raising our kids here, my wife and I. We could have easily gone somewhere else and probably left town and bought a home somewhere else when we first started, but love's a very powerful quotient, and she came to Aurora, and the rest is history here. So we're raising our own kids here, and make sure that they try to learn the same values that her and I were both raised with, and we have people around us with similar values too, so that makes it easier. And we've invested into our community. We bought a home. We built a home in the Third Ward, and we're here for the long run. Obviously, we're committed. There's not much way out now.
Well, and what really strikes me about your comments is you're talking about being neighborly. I feel like that's something that we don't have enough of today. People don't know each other anymore, right? We aren't as interconnected as maybe we were 20 or 30 years ago when it comes to neighborhoods. How important would you say is it to get to know your neighbors in your area?
Well, that's an excellent question, and it's very simple. That is just go and say hello. When I went to college, and I also went to get my master's, there's a good 6 to 8 years there, approximately, where there was a changeover in terms of the type of the backgrounds of my neighbors. That's when the transition became more Hispanic when I was going to college. Now, my wife's trilingual.
Wow.
Yes, because she speaks English, she speaks Greek fluently, and she also speaks Spanish fluently.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
She's something
That's impressive.
And my kids are also working on being trilingual too.
Wow.
They're both taking honor Spanish right now at their respective high schools too. In addition to having taken Greek language classes since they were very young.
Wow.
So they're on the same course to be like their mother, not like their dad, but like their mother. But what were we talking about again? Help me out.
Talking about the importance
right.
of talking with your neighbors.
So yes, and ultimately it's when we were married, and my wife, we both moved into the new home. She went around and she's like, "Wow, you have fantastic neighbors here." I said, "How do you know?" I go, "We haven't moved in for a week." She's like, "I went and knocked on all their doors."
Wow.
And introduced myself. And I said to her, "Do you mind going with me? I want to go say hi too." Because I've been gone for so long, so focused on my career, throwing myself into my work and my education, that I lost sight of who some of my newer neighbors were. Some of them were still there that I knew, and you still say hi, you wave, and you talk to each other, like the Melodies across the street. But there are a fair amount of newer neighbors. And the interesting part about it was you go say hello and like, "Oh yeah, we know all about you. Your dad talks about you all the time." I'm like, "Oh." So yeah, the neighbors all knew about me, but they had met my wife and introduced herself too. And so I was a little behind the 8 ball, but I quickly got to know my neighbors, and my wife and I being invited over for a refreshment to their backyards. We invite them to a refreshment to our backyard, and just getting to know each other, and people trying to raise their families and trying to make a go of it and live the American dream. I mean, that's what it's all about. And so far, so good, I would say. But that's the key thing, is getting to know your neighbors. Just go and say hi, introduce yourself. But it's a little bit of a challenge sometimes, because not everybody is comfortable speaking English, or somebody's not very comfortable or doesn't understand how to speak Spanish. But what I've discovered, and before Silver Shovel started, I started a program, an informal program, where I called it Me, My Shovel, and I. And I go and I move snow for neighbors. And it all started just by having conversations and finding out that certain seniors were having a hard time getting their snow removed, having snow removal for their sidewalk or their driveway. And long story short, I'd go out, and I'm like, wow, if this is what it's going to be as an alderman, it's going to be a very heavy winter every year. And I was moving snow that first winter, and I thought that this is it. This is what I have to do as long as I can do it. And I do have, whether I have health issues or not, I'm still going to try to do my best. And long story short, I discovered something I would have anticipated, and that was neighbors coming out to help out neighbors. Case in point. Yes, we communicated with the Melodies, but right next door, there was a Hispanic family, not very comfortable speaking English very much, and discovered, that they want to be helpful, but don't know how. But I'd go across the street. Mr. Melody got to the point where he couldn't move his own snow, so I realized it. So I went over there to help move his snow. I could take my snowblower across the street, and next thing I know is his neighbor is right there next to me with a shovel moving snow.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I've got this. It's okay, And he just would smile and just keep moving snow right next to the snowblower. And interesting part is, the next snow event, he already gone out there and he moved all the snow himself. And he would take care of Mr. and Mrs. Melody, two senior citizens, up there in years, and he would just move their snow. No questions asked. Nobody ever asked him to do it. And the same thing happened wherever I went. And a neighbor would just step up, and it's just surprising how it's not something that is unique. Being neighborly. It's just a matter of communicating sometimes. And if somebody has a need, somebody's there to help out, regardless of ethnic background, regardless of language. What you can speak or not speak English, or you can or can't not speak Spanish. So that's the most surprising thing for me as an alderman. Most beautiful and surprisingly beautiful thing that's ever happened in my tenure here in 14 years that I learned from the get-go. So I don't know what else to tell you.
I mean, actions speak louder than words in that regard, right? Like, you were out there shoveling the snow, and even though there might have been a language barrier, everybody universally knew, hey, these people are elderly, they need some help, and everybody helped and stepped up. And I think that's an amazing story, not only about your ward, but really about the population of this city, because I feel like a lot of people here in Aurora operate on that same wavelength.
Well, I'm not moving snow for too many sidewalks anymore, or driveways for seniors. We do have the city's program. There's another program through the Aurora Township municipal body as well. But I will go out if I do get a phone call. But I still keep a shovel. I keep two. I've learned two-handed shovel now, how to work two shovels at the same time. My dad used to do it. I never could as a kid, and I've learned it's doable. You can learn. It's a skill. But what I'm trying to get at is that I still have the shovels in my car, and I am self-employed. So whenever there's a snowstorm, if I see someone that I can help, mostly now what it's come to is helping people move out of their, getting cars that are stuck in the apron, helping them move out. There's always at least one, if not two cases every every snowstorm, major snowstorm. You learn how to communicate. Some people don't speak English very well, and I try best with my broken Spanish and my English. I try it, and we get it done, believe it or not. And I don't tell them I'm an alderman. I just help them. And usually you can find one car to stop and wait and hold up the rest of the cars. People are very, very receptive when there's a need, and they want to help. And so whether it's with moving snow, whether it's with Phillips Park, as I'm seeing it now, with a foundation that's starting, this is Aurora. This is what makes our city beautiful. I don't know if it's unique, but it's one of the hidden beauties of our culture, regardless, our Aurora culture. And I'm so glad that I'm able to participate in it. I don't know if I would have seen it as much if I wasn't an alderman. I've always done something pro bono as an architect. Always looked out to do one project, or I should say, help out with one project every year. But this is way beyond that, I would say, and the opportunities that it affords. So as long as I'm here, as long as I'm in the position, I will still try to move snow as much as I can and help people get out of their driveways when their car's stuck.
I know as an alderman, too, you guys get a lot of phone calls from residents about a number of different things. Can you tell me about the one time you were in your first year as alderperson, correct? And you got a phone call about an issue with grass and heights of grass. Can you tell me about that story and maybe how that inspired you for the rest of your years as alderperson?
I'm glad you asked that question. Not too many people know about that. I had just been sworn in not too long ago. It's about my second or third month in office. And of course, as an alderperson, you get a cell phone, city cell phone. And I kept it with me along with my personal cell phone. And I was at work. I was at my office here in town, and I had a phone call, and I will use some, they're not the real names, but I get a call from Joe. And Joe says, I've got a problem. You have to help me out right now. If you don't come, I'm calling the police. You have to come now. I'm like, Joe, relax. I'm like, what's going on? And he says, I live at this address. I said, I remember where you live. I said, I was just there not too long ago, because when you're campaigning, you tend to learn the residents and where they live and their city blocks and their addresses sometimes. And he's like, well, John is not being reasonable. He's not a good neighbor. And I'm just like, whoa. I'm like, I didn't understand it because I knew the neighborhood. I said, well, just relax a little bit. No. If you're not coming, I'm calling the police. I said, listen, I'm in the office. Give me 5 minutes. Let me close things down. I'll come and see you. I'll just close a little early. So I went over to see him. But instead of going straight to his home, I went over to see John. So I knock on John's door. John sees me at the door. He opens the door. I'm so glad you're here. I want to talk to you about Joe. And I said, okay. I want to tell you how he's not being neighborly. So he steps, so John steps out. Joe steps out. They have a confrontation on the sidewalk right at the property line. And they start complaining about each other's landscaping. And I'm just sitting like, what is happening here? They're both old enough to be my uncle. Did I create a situation where, it'll escalate and then they'll get arrested, I'll get arrested? What happens here? So I finally just said, you know what? Can you both just stop? I said, you're both complaining about each other's level of degree of pedicure, manicure of your lawns. You're complaining about somebody's little grass clipping getting on one sidewalk, or somebody's son stepping on the corner of your lawn. I said, you have the two most meticulous homes in terms of landscaping and care, not only of the entire block here, but perhaps of the entire ward. I would expect the both of you to complain about every single other person on this block, maybe some other part of the city, but not amongst yourselves. And they were really ready to just go at it, believe it or not. Two grown men, two very strong men. but that love to take care of their yard. And they just looked at each other and just said, you know what? One said the other, hindsight 2020, I'm sorry. And just like grown men, they're like, yeah, I'm sorry too. They shook hands, went back into their homes, said, Ted, and they both said, thank you for doing this. He's like, one's like, I was ready to call the police. He's like, I was ready to knock them out, right? And so I discovered, like, wow, I just signed up to be a legislator. Here I am being peacemaker. So later on that week, sitting out in my backyard, neighbors over, hanging out with us for refreshment. Ted, how's it going? How do you like being an alderman so far? Well, let me tell you a story. And that was the birth of our Curbside Appeal Award. Because ultimately what we deduced here as with my neighbors was that some people need to be respected, and I should maybe just recognized for what they're doing. And we've had tremendous success. It was under the Wisner administration. We took Clayton Muhammad out. He came out too, and the mayor was on board with it too. And we had a program in the Third Ward, which we still have. We haven't removed that, but that was the first program. All our programs in the Third Ward come from my experiences with the residents, and also programs that inherited by my predecessor too. And we try not to remove those. They're very popular. We always try to improve a program. Never become complacent that it's good to go. But everything comes from the community. As a ward alderman, that's what I've discovered. You don't have to sit there, and I don't do that too. I'm very conscious of not trying to say, this is what we need to do. This is what I thought about, and this is what we need to do. It always comes from conversations, shared experiences with my neighbors. Granted, to the extent that you can, because you can't share everything. There's certain things that we have to keep tight to the vest as executive of the City of Aurora. But a lot of these things that happen, I discover in the community. That's the impetus of how we come up with our programs. That's where we come up with the additional support to push for Mastodon Lake to be dredged. That's where we find support for the Phillips Park Foundation. It's not just something you just come up with and say, oh, hey, I got an idea today because I'm all omnipresent. It doesn't work that way, at least not for me, maybe for some others. But that's the beauty of being an alderperson. And, it all comes from the community when it's all said and done. If there's a will in the community and the residents want to participate and help me with these programs, because I just don't do them myself. I can't do all these programs. A lot of these programs come with support from the community. The neighbors help us out with a committee for the landscape Curbside Appeal Award, we call it, and that helps make the final decision with all the nominated homes. And then also, for example, the other program we have here, we have the Posada event that came up from the community's interest in doing something and to share with the rest of the community the Hispanic culture, the Mexican culture of the Posada around Christmas time. That happens with volunteers. I can't do it all on my own. My wife and I can't. But that's the beauty of it. Everybody helping out one way or another. And that's what I enjoy about it. That's where I get, that's where I think that I get the most excitement of trying to make a difference and helping these things move forward, not only to cultivate, but to move forward.
Did you ever expect then
Awesome.
that fight to turn into this sort of a program? I mean, that is an amazing story where it starts with these neighbors about to trade blows with one another and then turns into a 10-plus year program that's now very successful in your ward.
Oh, yes. It's quite interesting. It's a 180. But see, again, talking to my neighbors, and we realized that they felt that they weren't, it wasn't their neighbor, maybe it wasn't just their neighbor that was the issue. It was a bigger, broader issue. And them feeling like they're not, their value, the value that they show in what they do with their home is not being respected perhaps by the neighborhood, because there were some challenges. Not everybody wants to take care of their lawn the same way, but this is the beauty of the program, an additional step. I'm glad you brought it up and bringing it full circle. When I go back, and I like to go back and I speak with the neighbors who received these awards in the previous year, or sometimes some people receive the award again a following year because they go even bigger and better, as we like to say. They always tell me one thing this is what I really didn't expect. They say, thank you for the program, because now I see my neighbors starting to take care of their lawn.
Wow. To
the degree where there's more pedicure or manicure to it. Now they're starting to plant more flowers. Now they're making a better effort on the other side over here to rake their leaves and not let it blow around the whole neighborhood after we rake our yards. So there is an effect, just like with the snow removal, with neighbor helping neighbor. The Curbside Appeal Award, you have neighbors now paying attention more so to their own yard, because they're seeing that there is an interest in showing appreciation for what's done. And those are the things that I would have never imagined happening in a million years. But again, I'm a ward alderman. It doesn't mean I'm the decision maker. These come from conversations with my neighbors, and believe it or not, sometimes even with my colleagues on city council, having conversations and learning best practices too, from some that have been around. Or sometimes somebody shares, let me tell you what happened this week. I got a phone call, right? And we talk to each other, and that's the key thing. Communication as well.
Alderman Ted Mesiacos still here with us on Meet Your Aldermen. My name's Jon Zaghloul, our communications director. Amazing conversation so far, Ted, and had a couple of more questions before we wrapped up today. You mentioned this a couple of times. I wanted to get the backstory behind this. What inspired you to become an architect?
Well, I'm one of those few people that knew what they wanted when they were very young. And I really did. I really knew at a very young age I wanted to be an architect, and was very focused and determined. Had an opportunity to visit a family friend and a friend down at U of I. He was a senior. He was a upperclassman, a junior or senior in college at the time. But nonetheless, I was a young person just starting school, and at East Aurora High School. I'm a Tomcat as well. But I went down to U of I, and I enjoyed the visit for a weekend, and came back, researched that it was one of the top architecture. It was a top architectural school in the Midwest at the time, and one of the top 4 or 5 in the country. And I said, okay, I want to be an architect, and that's where I want to go to school. So I worked very hard. I bought a sticker. I slammed it on the side of inside my locker door, and it was my reminder of what the goal was. And even though I worked about 30 to 35 hours a week bussing tables at Fox Valley from the age of 15 all through high school, I was still managed to keep my grades up, be in AP courses, get into AP courses, and working my way and earning the opportunity to study at the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, and to come back to Aurora and heed my father's advice. Opened up my own practice here in Aurora. We're stationed here in Aurora, Illinois. You can't beat it. Ultimately, the main goal was to become an architect. The question is, how did I get there? Here we are now. Participating and helping out in the community as an architect, participating as an alderman as well. If I can, I try to help out at school. My wife does most of the volunteering, but if she can, she drags me along too. And I go and help out once in a while, be supportive at the schools if I can. Not very much, but because I do have other things to do in terms of between business and also being an alderman, but she steps more into that role than I do. So, but yeah, it's all about community ultimately. Communicating, being a member of the community, and do what you can. Not everybody can provide the same level of volunteerism or support. Some people just can't at all. My father couldn't after a certain time, but he did as much as he could up until that point, until my mother's passing. But you keep pushing, and you keep helping, and you never stop. And if you have an opportunity, if you don't, that's okay. And it's okay helping somebody who doesn't help out. I do believe that things come around full circle when it's all said and done.
And Ted, last question today before we finish up together. It's been an amazing conversation. Tell me about what it means to you to be the 3rd Ward Alderman for 14 plus years.
It's an honor and a privilege. It really is. Born in Old Copley Hospital, raised in Aurora. Any kid out there, any young person out there, young professional, you can thrive in Aurora. You can survive here. You can have a life here. And you don't have to feel like you're giving anything up. The American dream is alive and well here in Aurora, any part of Aurora. You can live in any kind of neighborhood you want, any type of property tax level that you want. And you will find a community, a loving and embracing community. I really do firmly believe that. And I'm a living example. If you want to live outside and start your career and life outside Aurora, that's fine as well. But always know there is an option here. Aurora, Illinois is beautiful, and I have no regrets. Living the dream here in Aurora, and being an alder person to help do my part, that is a privilege of the community. And as long as I have that privilege, I do my best to try to make the most of it. Like any alder person, we're human. We're not perfect, but we do our best. And we have a lot of programs here in the 3rd Ward that we've started, and additional ones that we kept. A few that have been emulated, a couple, at least one that's been copied by a few of my colleagues, I'm told, as well. It's great. It's great to participate and to know that you're part of something bigger than yourself, and ultimately trying to help out other people that may need some help too, in many more ways than one. So yeah, no, it's meant a lot to me, and I do take it seriously, and I do believe, and I'm a public servant. I don't look at it as a politician. I really do believe that. Politicians have a negative connotation. So
They do.
But my wife always reminds me, whenever she can, just remember, you're a public servant. Mm-hmm. You're working for somebody else. And the residents will remind you that too. So it's very important. My wife makes sure that I don't get too far ahead of myself. I'm very fortunate. So because she pushed me into it and into running for office, she also takes it upon herself, and I'm glad she does. She's my better 2/3 to remind me of what's important, and remind me it's never about me. It's always about the community, first and foremost, and never to forget that. So here we are, very fortunate and very humble.
Ted, thank you so much for this interview. This was such a great episode of Meet Your Alderman, the 5th episode in the books. We'll be interviewing Ward 4 alderperson Jonathan Nunez on the next episode. But Ted, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for affording this opportunity.
And we'll see you guys next time on Meet Your Alderman. So long.